Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly, guys. I am Mike Spider Slayer from the YouTube channel Comic Book Corner 2.0. And of course, guys, my co-hosts here, not only are they comic book critics themselves, but they are comic creators themselves. And first I have Kat Comic Uno.
Hey guys, what is up?
And then I also have Brant Fowler.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, guys. So we have another great show for you. Last week was a fantastic show with the whole Comixology news. That was really a lot of fun. And this week we're going to be talking about some other news, obviously, but we're also going to be talking about the whole Robin storyline that's going on and bringing back Alfred. But that will be a little bit later on in the show when everybody's joined. We just want to welcome everyone that's on right now real quick. That's Parker Luck, what's that? Jeff is on, and we have what's that? Radio Vid, and then am changes. And Tevi is on. So welcome to the show, guys. Hopefully you'll have a great time. So this week we're kicking it off with the news. So Kat, take it away on this week's news pieces.
Yes. So first up, we're going to talk about Moon Girl getting a team up book. You know, Marvel for some reason loves to do their team up books. I don't know why, but they do. And this one's Moon Girl. I know Moon Girl is getting a TV show very soon, so maybe that's the reason why. But I don't think I'll be picking this one up. Brant, you are probably the bigger Moon Girl fan here, so are you going to pick it up?
I'll give it a shot. You know, especially if she's teaming up with somebody that I really want to read. I know they mentioned Miles in the article, so I think that could be a cool team up. I really enjoyed her series, but I agree with you on the team up stuff, and it's usually a little weaker as far as stories go when they do these team up books. So I'll give it a shot, though.
I'm not going to give it a shot. Nothing against the character, but I don't want her to be in a team up book. Like, have your own book. Why, are we not good enough to carry on your own book that you have to team up with other characters? Like, I get it for one or two issues, but it's just like, to me, that's just I don't know, that's just a red flag to be like, yeah, this is not going to be around long,
And it's just so weird because, again, it's a character who's going to get a TV show. So you think maybe make it a YA book. Make it for people who are going to watch the Disney Channel show. Tie it into the Disney Channel show. I just think it's so weird that they're doing this team up.
Yeah,
we do have a question in the comments, so let's answer that from James. Any of you folks reading Star Wars, War of Bounty Hunters, or DC's Robin and Batman? Robin, Batman, we all read. We all loved it. Star Wars, where are you guys at with that? I know you were reading it.
I stopped.
I stopped in the middle of the War of the Bounty Hunters somewhere. Yeah, same.
It was not a very interesting story. It started off really good, and then it
kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, it got really boring, and then it tied into way too many books, and it was just too long on top of it, and it definitely disappointing, So
yeah, I agree completely.
Radio Vid says Moon Girl is getting a show. I know Moon Knight's getting one, but I haven't heard about Moon Girl. Yeah, it's a cartoon.
Yeah,
it's announced a little while ago. Any of you guys reading the Star Trek comics? I'm definitely not. I don't really like Star Trek. So.
I'm not really a Star Trek fan either.
Yeah, never have. Never liked Star Trek ever since I was a kid, so never had any intention of reading a comic.
So let's move on to the next topic here, which is Mike, you want to talk about this. Deceased is returning for its final arc. I will say Deceased for me wasn't the best Tom Taylor book. I didn't really love it. It wasn't Dark Knights of Steel for me. But you did like it. So you excited for the third arc?
Yeah, I mean, the first one obviously was, I think, the best for me. And I think the second part was pretty good. Then they had like a middle part. I don't even know. Because it's been a while since I've read it, but I'm interested in this because I didn't expect there to be another part. And now that they're having like a final chapter to the story is definitely intriguing because I want to see like how much time has passed, what's happened to all these characters. Obviously I thought they solved this virus and whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, again, it's Tom Taylor. It's worth a try for me. And I know a lot of people will agree with me that this is when he writes his best books. It's when he does these alternate universe types of stories. We get to see that in Knights of Steel. We've gotten to see that in Deceased, and we've gotten to see that in what's the other one? The first
Dark
one.
Ages. Oh, the
Injustice.
Injustice. Yeah.
and yes, Dark Ages as well too. So that's when I feel he does his best writing for me anyway.
All right, let's get into Wiccan and Hulking, the digital series from like the Infinite Marvel, I think it's called, is actually getting a physical book, which I'll definitely pick up because it's physical. The reason I thought this was good in big news is that I don't think any of us knew if any of these Infinite books were going to go to print. So it's cool that we're seeing that. So I'll definitely pick it up. I know, Brant, you are a Wiccan and Hulking fan as well, so...
Yeah, and I became an Agatha fan through WandaVision. I had to think of the name of the show. So yeah, I've never read like a bunch of her in the comics, but I really liked her in the show. So yeah, I'm curious about this one. It's like you, when it was just digital only, it's easy to forget about those when you're not just like on those platforms all the time and keeping up with those release dates. So I'm glad they're getting a print version as well.
So we also have a question from Jeff here. This is my second live stream with you folks. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. So to me and Brant, are you both artists, writers, colorists, or all of the above? So that's an interesting question because I am just a writer. So I also edit and, run my own publishing company. But Brant, you are also only a writer, but you have done lettering a lot. And that was what you were known for. So that's interesting.
Yeah, 2 decades of lettering, mostly, all indie books. So that's like what I was mostly known for. But writer, and I actually dabble in art too. But I'm not that proficient with that. But I'm also a publisher, and I've been an editor, so I've worn a lot of hats. We'll put it like that.
Now you own your own publishing company also.
Yep, Last Timber Press.
Yep. So these guys are great guys. So not only again that they talk about these comics, but they write their own stuff too. So hopefully you guys get to check out some of their material. It's really good. It really, really is. And I'm not saying that just because they're my friends. It's actually there to see the growth over the years, because these guys have been my friends now for
like 10 years.
It's 10 years at least. Yeah.
I will always say this. It's weird, but I've known Kat since she was 15 years old, right?
I know, it's crazy. And I'm 27 now. So.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but we used to write together on Comic Vine. For you guys that did not know that, we wrote a lot of reviews, and that's how we started our relationship that way. And then we just decided to do this channel, and then we decided to do these live streams. Again, a lot of you guys don't know this, but we have been doing these live streams for 10 plus years. It has been a very long time. And it's just now that, people are starting to get familiar with the stream, and me, I've built up a bigger audience. Kat's had an audience on her channel for a while. So it's just, it's been a crazy ride. But again, seeing these guys grow as writers has been absolutely outstanding.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
It's been a crazy ride, and I can't wait to see it continue grow. We do have another question here from Adam, who says, how do you get into the comic book industry as a digital artist? Sequential art. That is like always my biggest thing, because me and Brant and any indie creator or just any creator in general, that's how you look for artists on Instagram or Twitter or Tumblr. We look through social media and we see what they share. You have to be good at social media. You have to know how to push your art, but mostly have sequential art. I see that being the biggest issue, because a comic creator, it's really hard to hire someone if you don't see sequentials.
Yeah, and as far as I'll echo what Kat said, but as far as if you're talking about digital artists as opposed to traditional, there's a lot of artists that work digital only. I know several that work for Marvel and DC right now that are digital only, so that's not a hurdle. But yeah, just make those connections. There's different avenues, but definitely keep putting your stuff out there, and definitely sequentials. Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get into some more news pieces here. So, Mike, you wanted to discuss this. Hulk is introducing a new character called Titan. I believe it's the same character we just saw as the cliffhanger.
Yeah, the cliffhanger, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're getting background on it.
So now you get the actual name of it and how he's going to be the big bad of the series. And it doesn't give too much away. I thought that the name is kind of cool because, he is a very, I guess, strong looking character. He is like a Titan, So I am excited, even though it has right now, it seems like it has a very similar tone to, say, King in Black or whatnot. I am still intrigued by it. I want to see how Ryan Otley draws this character on the inside. We see a picture of him in the article. It's a variant cover, and it's not very clear like what he looks like 100%. But I'm on board with this. I'm going to have fun with Hulk. That's what I'm going to do with it.
We do have another question here from Mastermind Design. Hey, y'all. Hope everyone's doing well. I got a question. Do you guys use the comic book app called CLZ? I just started collecting about a year ago. Got up to 15 short boxes. I've never heard of it.
I haven't either.
I do.
Oh, you do?
Oh, you do use it?
Yeah.
I'll
So it's a good cataloging app where you can put in your comics in a collection, right? And so, like, if you go to the comic book store and you're just like, you're searching through back issues and you can sit there and you can sit there and go, oh, look.
Is it that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. And you can just keep track of your comics so you know which ones you have in case you go shopping for back issues. Also, it's just a good cataloging thing. It really is. And you can, it goes into so much detail where if you think the grade, you can put the grade, you can put all kinds of stuff. It has the whole detail of the comic book, whether it's like a key or if it's not a key, it gives you the synopsis of the issue. It's actually a really, really good app. I know there's a fee. I forgot what it is. It's like
$14.99 per year.
Yeah, and then so I think there's a monthly option as well. But yeah, if you ever want to catalog your comics and know what's actually in your collection, this is really, really good. I haven't.
And $14 is nothing for something like that. Like that's worth it.
Yeah, it's $1.50 a month if you go monthly.
Yeah, I haven't sat down and done this. I've cataloged a few of my comic books, some of like the main ones, like the keys that I have, and it's really goes into great detail because it gives you, like, if you have an estimated value of what that comic is worth, it also keeps track of your total value of comics, how much you paid for them, what's your profit off of it. Like it goes into crazy detail. Cool. So definitely worth it, especially if you want to keep track of your comics, like I said.
Yeah, definitely check that
look
out.
Into it. Yeah, I still have to do just inventory of my comics I'm selling. So getting into my actual comic book collection and doing that sounds like a lot of work, but one of these days.
I have to still resort mine. When we moved, we had to throw everything in new boxes that we bought because mine were getting kind of damaged from all the moves I've had recently. So I need to go back and resort everything because everything's just mixed together.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, my comics are pretty well organized. I got to get a couple more short boxes and then I'll just stick them in there. They're already in alphabetical order. They're just kind of leaning against the wall, just like they would if they were in a short box. So it's just like boom, 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 boom. But I am trying to, hopefully again, look to sell some of these filler books or, runs that I don't want to keep anymore. So I'm looking to do that.
Mars says, yeah, you can sort your comics by publisher or writer, artist, age, year.
Nice.
I usually do it by like alphabetical order, like in my short boxes, but that's cool that you could do that through the app.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, let's get into the next topic here, which is the Justice League now gets a mech book. That's so interesting. We're going to talk about another book that they're stealing from each other. So which Marvel's stealing from DC and DC stealing from Marvel, but literally Marvel just had a mech book. And now
Mech
DC's
Strike.
like, why not? They have dinosaurs and now mechs. So I'm not getting this.
Mech Strike.
No.
It is. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, Marvel just had Mech Strike. Like, what the hell, dude? Like, what are we doing here? Like, dinosaurs now mechs? Like, where are we going with this shit? Like, I get it. We want to come out with fun, different types of styles of books, but again, why can't we just come out with books with the main characters that are in the DC universe instead of coming out with these Elseworld books? Is it because DC doesn't have enough writers to write these characters? Like, what's the deal here?
I think they're just trying to make anything stick. They're like, mech cell, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go, big giant
Money
robot
grab.
kick ass.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs don't usually sell, but let's do it.
Yeah. I'm still scratching my head over that one.
We do have another question here from Radio Vid. With Batman around the corner, how crazy is it that we're getting 8 movies across DC and Marvel this year before accounting for shows?
Yeah.
I can't keep up. I literally can't.
I was looking through the movies coming out this year with Lisa the other day, and I was just like, oh my God, not only the comic movies, but just like big tentpole movies. There's so many movies this year, and it's like they're making up for these past 2 pandemic years when they didn't have a lot in the theaters. It's crazy. So
yeah,
crazy.
with the movies especially, like it's been so nuts because like I'm gonna go see Batman this week, but just like trying to coordinate because I have the AMC stubs and so does a group of friends, so we like going and see movies together, and just to coordinate each other's schedules to go see this freaking movies because we want to utilize it because it's free, but there's so many freaking movies out. You're like, what time do we have to go see them all?
Yeah.
And that's, obviously excluding the TV shows. Moon Knight comes out in I think the end of the month or the mid-month. It comes out really soon.
Yeah, it comes out this month, sometime this month. I think it's towards the end, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll watch what I can watch. That's the only thing I can do. I mean, the one thing that I'm definitely seeing is Doctor Strange, and that's number one priority.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll see Doctor Strange.
I'll see Batman, but I'm not gonna like rush to the theater and see it.
Same for me for that one. But yeah,
I don't want to be spoiled is pretty much why I'm rushing to the theater. And also like from, I guess, a social media perspective, this year I promised myself to build my social media in a regard and use all the tricks I know to, build up analytics for social media. And one of them is like making personal accounts of like, talking about things you watch, and those tweets tend to do very well for me. So I'm like, damn it, you gotta see these things when it's out early. That way it's still relevant and still gets tweets. So I've been trying to be better with that, which is the only reason why I'm going to see it early. Or else, like, I still haven't seen Eternals.
Considering I just got over COVID, I'm not in any rush to go out to the theater.
I can only imagine. But at least now you have the antibodies.
Right.
You're the best case scenario to go to the movie theaters. Mr. Shark says, I'm not hyped for Batman. I don't know why. I'm not really either, just because it doesn't really look like it's bringing anything different to the table. It's not like, this is the first movie where Tim Drake's in. It's just like, it's Batman, Catwoman. Right. We've seen it before.
True.
This is going to be a movie that I have to go to, and it's going to be like, this looks like it's going to have to wow me. Like, it will have
3
to
hours.
My expectations. Like, I don't have high expectations for it, so I'm hoping when I go to it, I'm going to be like blown away by it.
I really hope so. We'll see. We'll see when I get to see it. There's another question. I mean, this one, you're asking Marvel fans here who makes better movies, DC or Marvel.
Right.
You're asking the wrong crowd. We're all going to say Marvel.
Absolutely.
I mean, honestly, though, when you break down and you look at the universe as a whole, like, look at what Marvel has accomplished, and then you look at what DC has accomplished. Like,
they're
DC
trying to still catch up.
Yeah, they're so far behind. Yes, have they come up with successful movies? Absolutely, they have.
Of
DC,
course.
But when you look at the most successful ones, it's Batman. Everything falls from Batman, right?
Well, I will say that from the movie perspective, definitely Dark Knight was most successful. But Wonder Woman and Shazam, I think those are surprise hits. For them, and that was cool to see.
Yeah, the first Wonder Woman movie, Shazam, was really good. I really enjoyed Shazam. I actually like Shazam better than Wonder Woman.
It was so much fun. I don't know. I'm torn between those two, but
Wonder Woman.
I think Shazam's the better movie, but I liked Wonder Woman more.
Wonder
Mm.
Woman set was something special, right? And but when I rewatch Wonder Woman now, it doesn't have that same feel as it did when I first watched it.
Yeah, it had that slow middle part. I think that kind of took away from it a little bit, and then
Right.
it's just like that second movie leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It's like,
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, you don't have to. Don't worry.
You really don't.
But then I'm interested to see if Shazam 2 will do the same thing, or if it'll be even better than Shazam 1. I am very excited for Shazam 2. We did have a comment here. Oh, how important, and this is from P Freak. How important do you think it is to watch the MCU in order? I say pretty important, because they all do kind of.
I mean, yeah. Now, like at the beginning, I think you could have skipped around a little bit. You could have watched like the first 5, 6, 7 a little bit out of order, but now because everything's so interconnected and it references everything that's come before, I think it's a little bit more important.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I've watched Marvel movies with my son, and when we watch them in the supposed order, so there's something there.
All right, well, let's get into the next topic here, which is Aquaman and Flash gets a team-up book. So we're just talking about these team-up books. I don't know why Aquaman keeps teaming up with people. They had the Green Arrow one, which I feel like not many people talked about, at least from my circle. Maybe it's just like a bubble. But now they have Flash, and that's a weird team-up. I don't know
think
if
it's
I care.
to boost the sales? From what I heard, I heard Flash is actually a really good book right now.
No, that's
kind of like one of the underrated books.
The Flash movie also comes out this year, I think, right?
Oh my God, too many movies.
So I think like maybe they're trying to boost Aquaman sales. Like I don't know, but this is a weird team up, and maybe it's done on purpose. The guy that's on land that runs real fast, and then you got the dude that swims in the water. Like I don't know,
swims real fast.
I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this book, man.
The one positive I'll say is that we were just talking about 2 weeks ago, I think, when I was on, about how we wish there were more titles with other characters aside from Batman, and this is another book that has 2 of those characters. So I think that's cool that they're at least trying to do something with these characters. But it is an odd team up, but it's a team up that you don't expect, so maybe it'll be good. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll pick up that first issue, but if people are like, this is amazing, maybe. Tevia says, are you guys excited for Black Adam? I like The Rock.
It's The Rock. Yeah.
I'm interested.
Anytime The Rock's in anything, I'm there. And it's not just as a wrestling fan. I just think he's got this amazing presence on screen. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the next topic here, which is, speaking of, again, we were talking about Justice League stealing the mecha idea from Marvel. Now Marvel stealing the Fortnite idea from DC. So Marvel is now having a Fortnite miniseries. Obviously it did well at DC Comics, but that makes sense. It's kind of like it's the closest thing we're going to get to a DC Marvel crossover, is that they're stealing the same property to cross over with.
Yeah, they exist in the same universe technically.
It's funny because Marvel teamed up with Fortnite before.
For Thor,
beforehand, before DC did, but they never...
They had those exclusive comics too, right? They had like little things that if you bought like Fortnite or something, you get an exclusive comic.
They had like a little comic like in the actual video game. Like I remember they would show like the Thor comic or whatever it was, like when Thor first came out from Donny Cates. That's how long ago it was. And so that, but they never came out with a physical comic. And now they're like, oh shit, well, DC actually took it a step further, came out with a physical comic. Well, let's go back to Fortnite and we'll release a comic of ourselves. So I don't know if I'll be buying this. I might, who knows? I bought the issues of the DC one, so why not buy the Marvel ones, right?
Yeah,
try it out.
The only thing is, I mean, it's like they described this story as like a treasure hunt. I think the reason the Batman one specifically worked so well is because it played into what Fortnite is. Like, he didn't have his memories. He was in this loop. It was just like playing the game.
Right.
This seems like it's not that. So I don't know if it's going to be as good or as interesting, but I'll definitely try it out. Yeah.
We do have a question from Willie who says, why do people die in comics and come back to life? It's like Dragon Ball, and I'm not complaining, just wondering. Money. If
Yeah.
Wolverine died for 20 years, Marvel's going to lose money.
Yeah.
It never used to be that way. I mean, Willie, I'm not sure how old you are, but we're old. Well, I'm old. And
I've read old comics.
Yeah, and Brant is almost as old as I am. So we've been reading comics for a very long time, and Kat's read a lot of comics. And back in long time ago, comic book characters just didn't die. And so it wasn't until, what was it? Was it Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel. Did he die before Superman?
Flash.
Yeah, Captain Marvel, Flash. Go ahead,
Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl.
Yeah. Jean Grey.
Supergirl. Right.
Jean Grey.
But the big one is like Death of Superman. Like that was like, how do you kill off one of the most iconic characters in the world, right? And then that kind of started, I would feel like a trend in the comic book industry after that. And then it just got, since it was such a big shock value, now everybody started doing it. And then eventually they're like, well, we can't kill off everybody because we got, like Kat said, we're going to lose money. So we got to bring them back.
Yeah, it's like with Jean Grey, she was the Phoenix, so it's kind of in the name, she's gonna come back, right?
Yeah.
But like with Barry Allen, that story was so huge that it kind of overshadowed the deaths, and they had another Flash ready to go, and they just went right into Wally West. But he's the last one that stayed dead for a long time, right? And it was like 15, 20 years, something like that, before they finally brought him back. But yeah, after
That's because of Wally. Wally was successful, so they could.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
But even when they kill off characters, they truly don't die off because it's like...
Look at Alfred, which we'll talk about in our main topic.
Alfred, he's in the memories of Damian all the time, right? Or he's in other alternate universe books, right? And then you got to see Logan when he died, the death of Wolverine. Right away they came out with Old Man Logan. So technically you're not really missing the character at all, So that happens as well. If they're going to kill somebody off, kill them off, and then don't see him in any alternate universe and make people miss him. So when they come back, it's like, yes, this character is back
like
again.
Peter. Like when Peter died with Superior Spider-Man, we really didn't see him anywhere else when Doc Ock was Spider-Man.
But he was
I don't remember. He was, but he didn't show up very often.
Right.
He showed up maybe 1 or 2 issues, but it wasn't like Old Man Logan where you literally had a Wolverine book every month or every week.
Right.
Yeah.
So at least that was, I'm not saying that was perfect, but I think that's why people missed him so much because Dan Slott, in a good way, trolled everybody too, saying he's never coming back. And you really, truly didn't know if Peter Parker was going to come back. And that was like probably one of the more recent good deaths because of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, moving on. Speaking of Spider-Man, Black Cat is getting an Iron Cat book by Jed McKay. And honestly, I haven't been reading Black Cat, but I think I'm going to, pick it up from here. I've heard great things from you guys. And also, I've been loving Black Cat and the current Spider-Man stuff.
The Black Cat series is so good. And I love that issue where she took the iron suit. Yeah. So I'm all for this. I can't wait for it, actually.
Yeah, when I saw this and I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, Jed McKay's still going to write some more Black Cat? I'm like, on board. And with the Iron Cat character, I was like, this is so sweet, man. I love the way he writes her. I mean, I was a fan before, but now I'm even more of a fan of the character more than ever before because, again, he's just added so many more layers to the character. It's given her a nice supporting cast. It's so good, man. Really good. Tevi had a question on here that I wanted to answer, or no, he had a comment that he said his opinion, of course, and this is the Superior Spider-Man was so bad. After I think a lot of us were upset because Peter was not there, right? But when Peter came back and we were happy about that, I thought Superior Spider-Man actually in many ways was pretty darn good compared to his later stuff that he wrote in Spider-Man and definitely Nick Spencer's run in Spider-Man. because
Also, it was gutsy. It was something that I think when we were reading it, we were, like you said, we were upset because Peter wasn't there. And you're like, oh, you know, we wanted something more. We wanted something different. We wanted Mary Jane and Peter together, blah, blah, blah. But then you look back in retrospect, you're like, man, it's so hard to do something different in comics. And they did something different in comics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was good storytelling too. And you had throughout that whole thing, because we did see the ghost of Peter a few times, you had that comeback story built in, and you were just like longing for it. It had that anticipation built up. And at the same time, it like you said, Kat, it did something completely different with the Spider-Man character that we hadn't seen before. And it was interesting, and it was good writing. I have to admit, at the time, like when it first started, I was right there along with it, not happy about it. But as I read it, I really enjoyed it. And looking back on it, I think that was one of the better runs in recent memory. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have another question from Adam. Do you watch the Flash TV show? Everyone has dropped the Flash TV show here, even me. And I kept up with the DC TV stuff a lot. And I really think that show got diluted so much.
Yeah, I don't even remember where I left off. It's been a long time, though, for sure.
I had to watch the Armageddon stuff because I do the Legends Tomorrow podcast. So Ray Palmer was in it. And I'm like, man, this show has jumped the shark multiple times. I do not like where it went. We do have a $5 super chat. My new type JB Lee on death. Norman Osborn was a better villain when he was dead. He was the anti-Uncle Ben. A ghost who creates a legacy of evil. Also, I prefer Hobgoblin. Like, come on, you got to always have Norman come back. And I think he's a character that Marvel has done an okay job at not bringing back too often.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. He's the best. I mean, he's a Spider-Man's Joker. You can't. They're like, I don't know. They're synonymous with each other.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Hobgoblin too. I think he's a pretty cool character, and it kind of started the trend to introduce different goblins in Spider-Man's universe. But yeah, there's only one true Green Goblin who's very menacing, and obviously they portrayed that really well on screen. And now that's how I picture Norman Osborn, just like in Spider-Man No Way Home. Now I hear that voice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We have another question from Bronze Page. Hey, guys. Hey, Mike. Do you have many CGC graded books? I don't. In your video about submitting brought up some valid concerns a year to get books back. Wow. I have a few. I have maybe like 10 probably. But none that I brought to CGC.
The only ones I have 4 books. I have this Predator one. I have Brand New Day. It's a 9.8. I have this Fantastic Four Wizard one. That's a 9.8. Then I have this cheap ass Ms. Marvel 8.0 up there. So I got like.
And you bought those? And
I bought those.
That, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
And so, but every single one of these slabs that I spent less than $50 on. So I got them for a really good deal. And this one here is probably the one that might have the most value of them. But for me, I just liked them because they were cool. I'm not into reselling them or whatever it is. And I made a video the other day about, having some tough decisions about selling comics, submitting comics to CGC, because CGC's been overwhelmed with a ton of comics. And being that I have a lot of high dollar priced comic books, I'm like very hesitant about actually sending them to CGC and being away from them for like, could be 6 months, 7 months. I don't know. And then what if they fuck them up? Like, seriously.
Yeah, that made me so nervous. Yeah.
I'm really hesitant about that. People even said in the comments, like, you can always slab them yourself. They make like these comic skins and you can actually like seal them up on yourself. So they're protected that way.
I feel like I would want to get some CGC'd, but just not now in the economy and in what's going on in the world. I wouldn't want to do it because it just takes so long, like you're saying, to ship, or just, I feel like when the world's a little bit better, I'll do it.
Thinking about it a little bit more, if I can come across a slab and I have the money to buy one, just do it like that and kind of do it for fun. I know it might be more expensive that way, but I don't know. It's just like, I just don't see myself. Like, I'm not like a buyer I'm sorry, I am a buyer, but I'm not a seller, and I can't. It's like I'll have one copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300, and you know what? That could be the only copy I ever own. I have one copy of Ultimate Fallout, right? Issue 4. That could be the only copy I ever own in my life. So to take that risk and get it graded or to send it out and then maybe get lost in the mail or whatever the case may be, I don't know. I don't think I want to take that risk.
And what's interesting about like Fallout or like Immortal Hulk or whatever, like those type of books, is like it's an interesting experience that we all bought that book that Wednesday when it came out. Like it's different than getting, whatever Amazing Spider-Man issue 300 and I didn't buy it then. Like that was something like it's a memory of I went to the store and didn't know it was gonna be so big.
Yeah. I mean, my Amazing Spider-Man 300, I think I spent $180 on it, and it's a high-grade copy. But I bought it before all this movie shit came out, and it was just a book that I wanted, just because it was cool. It was like my childhood grail. Like I just had to get it. And then obviously the movie came out, and then look at where it's at now. The book at a 9.8 goes for like $6,000 or maybe more. I don't even know, but it's a huge book, and I know my grade has a potential of being in the 9s at least, So it's crazy stuff, man.
We do have another question from Tevia. Are you excited for Daredevil and other Marvel Netflix shows to go to Disney Plus? I haven't watched them since they came out, so not really. I don't think I'm gonna go over to Disney Plus and watch them.
I mean, I'm just glad they're somewhere because I never watched the 3rd season of Jessica Jones, so
I haven't either, but I heard it wasn't good. So I don't know. The only thing I find interesting.
It's just it went from one place to the other. For me, it's just a channel. That's all it is.
I will say what's interesting is bringing more mature content to Disney Plus, maybe meaning that we'll get even more mature content from the service on original shows. I think that's the only big note of that.
And the hope that they might actually do something with those, and just having them all in one place is nice, I guess. But yeah.
All right, well, let's get into the next topic, which is Ant-Man celebrates 60 years with a new hero. So Al Ewing's doing like a mini series celebrating, I think, each Ant-Man, including that newer Ant-Man. So you have like Scott.
Was that a futuristic Ant-Man that was?
Yeah, which is so interesting because they really just introduced the new Ant-Man only a couple of years ago, and they didn't really do much with him. So now they're going to introduce another Ant-Man. Like, isn't that a lot of Ant-Man?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where they're going with that, right? Because the last one he turned evil, right? He's like with Taskmaster, Black Ant, I think he goes by now.
I don't even remember did he like revert back? I don't remember. I don't remember where we last left him.
The last time I remember seeing him, it was him and Taskmaster and something. I don't remember exactly what book it was. No, I don't know. Do you remember, Mike?
What was it?
Black Ant and Taskmaster together.
Yeah, he was in. I think he was. Yeah, he teamed up with. I thought it was in the Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it was in Spider-Man in the Craven storyline. He teamed up with him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of remember that.
Yeah.
I've definitely read it then. If it was in Spider-Man.
It's when he was at the university, right? Like he was still working there or going back to school or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. I don't remember.
Your point. Utilized him. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. New one. Right. Why? Yeah. I don't understand why. Like Scott Lang is so big now, right? From the movies
movie, yeah.
So why introduce another one? I don't get it.
I don't care. It's like, listen, Al Ewing. I've learned to realize that I dislike a lot of his writing, except when it came to Immortal Hulk, and everything that I've been reading from him, I'm just not enjoying, and that's including Venom right now. Like I'm not really enjoying Venom, and it's definitely disappointing. So I don't think I'll check that one up. I don't like Ant-Man enough to go out of my way to check out this book.
Yeah,
I love Scott. So I'll probably I'll get the Hank Pym issue and I'll get the Scott issue. And if I like those, maybe I'll get more. I definitely don't want to get the newer Ant-Man. I don't care about him. And do I care about a new Ant-Man? Probably not. So I guess we'll see how well the Scott issue does. The only one I'm promising myself to get is Scott. After that, we'll see.
unless it's something that's going to tie into something that's going to mean something.
Oh,
But I'll find
Val
out about that
Ewing
later.
is writing it.
Yeah.
It's going to mean something and mean more of something and go into the future of something and go into some cosmic of something.
And then Black Knight
to the
shows
point
up.
to where you don't understand anything. And that's what's going to happen with it.
I mean, what Masked Rider or Raider, whatever his name
Yeah,
was.
Masked Rider. That was
Rider, yeah,
name.
exactly.
What happened to him? It had such great potential. That character.
Totally.
It was
They
so
built him
good
up.
when I read it. And then it's like, well, screw him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, okay. Here we got Mike Manhattan says, "Do you guys know it's the 30th anniversary of Image Comics?" Yeah,
We do.
absolutely.
Yeah, doing
plastered on
a lot
all
to
their
celebrate.
covers. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good though. I mean, it's hard to believe it's been 30 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's older than me.
It makes me feel really old.
So let's get into the last topic, the big topic of the night, and then we'll get into our main topic. But Batman's being taken over by Chip Zdarsky. So Chip Zdarsky did Batman the Night. Has obviously been doing Daredevil, and it's continuing to do Daredevil. But this is some interesting news because it wasn't sold like Joshua Williamson was leaving Batman. It sounded like he was going to have a run. So him leaving, I guess because he's doing bigger world stuff with DC, or is he going to be joining, the crew of Tynion and Snyder and just do Substack stuff? I don't know. This is like, it honestly, I'm very happy that Chip Zdarsky is taking Batman. Don't get me wrong. So excited. It seems like he's there for the long haul, but it just seems like another shuffle and a lot of like interior things going at DC where you're like, oh, it doesn't seem like everything's as concrete as it could be.
I think because Joshua Williamson has too much. I think that's honestly what it is. And to keep up with the high level of a character like Batman, that takes an extreme amount of work. And with all the other stuff that he has his hands in right now, I don't think he would be able to keep up with that. I think he had a story in mind. And I think after that, I don't think his brain went past that, to tell you the truth. And maybe we didn't know this, but maybe he was like, I'm on it for a story arc. And then after that, boys, you got to try to find somebody else because I'm going to be doing the Justice League Incarnate. I'm going to be freaking writing Robin. I'm going to be doing this Batman story arc. And then whatever else my hands are in the cookie jar here. So we got to find, I think it was a matter of time of finding their next high level writer. And Chip Zdarsky is perfect for this because obviously he wrote Daredevil. He's a street level hero. He wrote the Jason Todd story in Urban Legends, and everyone loved that story. So he can write the dark, gritty character. So it's a perfect fit. And hopefully he stays on it for quite a long time. And then you don't have to worry about that. He said
he's there for the long haul. One thing we also forgot to mention is that it's not Damian or Dick Grayson who's going to be the sidekick. It's actually Tim is going to be the co-star of this book, which is so cool. And I can't wait to see that. But Brant, what do you think about the news?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Daredevil's been so solid, and he crafted such a beautiful story in that book that it's just like when I heard this news, it's like, oh yeah, that's a perfect fit. If there ever was one. I think Daredevil for me is the best thing Zdarsky's written. Other stuff I've tried, I haven't, gotten too attached to. But that book, you guys kept telling me I need to be reading Daredevil. And then I was like, once I tried it, it's like, oh yeah, I got to go back and catch up and read the rest of Daredevil now.
Yeah,
but,
I was the only one that read it for the longest time.
Yeah,
and when COVID first happened, I caught up with it through the trade. And then I was like, you guys got to read this shit. It is so good.
Yeah.
The Elektra stuff really picked up for me because I remember I read the first arc to Daredevil when you recommended it. It's like, I don't really like it. And then I caught up once Elektra became Daredevil. I was like, oh, wow. Thanks, pick up. This is cool.
Yeah. I forget which issue that was that I jumped in on, but it was like, man, this is so good. And if he can do that, if he can duplicate that success with Batman, which I have full confidence that he can, we could get some really good stories. And Tim Drake's always been my favorite Robin. So having Tim Drake back in the book too, it's just icing on the cake.
What happens
to have a home?
Yeah.
What happens after the first issue? Batman's like, "Yo, Drake."
Oh no! If they make a joke, it's fine.
And Tim goes,
He'd be like, "Kidding." He just goes, "Just kidding." Hey. He makes a little crack. That would be
Oh God.
hilarious.
I could see them definitely doing that joke, for sure. We do have a super chat from new type JB Lee on Ant-Man. Should they bring back Hank Pym? Can he be a workable character? Would you like to see Hank and Nadia interact due to both of them being bipolar? Would like to see them interact. Don't think we need to see him back on a full thing.
I think Marvel has destroyed Hank Pym. They have done so many bad things with that character. I don't know that you could salvage it at this point. It's just so many bad story choices for that character. I don't know. I don't want to see it.
We do have a question from Tevia. Can we have Tim Drake date Stephanie Brown? Spoiler again. Putting the bisexual storyline to the side and him dating someone else. I would say even if that didn't happen, it doesn't quite make sense for them to be together right now because Batgirls is a very different book than any other Batman book.
Just the continuity in DC right now is just whatever's going on with them right now. It's just not there. So it's not a time to do it. We need to redo.
Yeah. You go ahead.
You're gonna say, Brian. No, you go.
I was gonna say putting that aside, I think that would convolute the story we haven't seen him like in a constant book for a while, and to add that element to it, I don't know, this early on at least. Any kind of, I don't know where they're going to go with his relationship with Bernard, or if they're going to delve into that in this book or not. But I don't know. I just want to see Batman and Tim Drake together for a little bit before we kind of branch out into some of these other stories. So.
And my comment to that is like, I feel like, and I love both Tim and Stephanie to death. Love both characters separately. Yeah. But when they were always together, and I like them together, don't get me wrong, I enjoy their relationship. I feel like they overshadowed each other. Like the romance was so much more important than Tim and Stephanie as individuals that they weren't individuals when they were together, and they need time to become individuals again.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Tim Drake is a floater right now, isn't he? He just floats around. He's like, hey, I'm in this book. Hey guys, look at me. Check me out over here. It's kind of funny. Recently he's in the Nightwing book, so it's where he's been a little bit there.
Yeah, but only a little. It's become like a Bat Family book because it's like, oh, Batgirl's in that too, and then you have Tim sometimes in that. Right. But let's go into our main topic. Thank you, 43 people watching live. Thank you.
Thank you.
So our main topic is that Robin's bringing back Alfred to life. So the cliffhanger of our big Lazarus tournament is that he's finally going back to Gotham, and he might bring him back. I like that ending a lot. I like this issue a lot. I felt like it went back to basics, and I was really worried because I'm like, oh, maybe this is just a series that's built around the league of this tournament, and there's nothing else there. And then you get to the end of this book, and you're like, ooh, there's a lot more here that's going to be interesting as we get into Shadow War too.
Remember, I was like, did. I told you, I was like, I was told by one of my web heads on my channel, and they were like, oh, Robin's going to pick back up and you're going to see. I was like, okay, and I told you about it, and nothing for nothing, Bo. At the beginning of this book, I was kind of like, oh shit. I'm like, why are we still dealing with this? They're trying to capture this guy, and then had those good moments in there with Flatline and Damian, and having some fun with each other, and but in that cliffhanger, I saw that, I'm like, no way, are they really gonna fucking go there with that? Like, is the whole thing that Tom King did gonna be reversed? That's the big question. I mean, he only has that one vial of Lazarus resin. Is that enough to actually resurrect Alfred?
I don't know.
Maybe it'll be like a zombie. He'll only be half Alfred.
Yeah, he's gonna come back like a decayed old man.
Yeah. I don't know, but it definitely, leads to some interesting places. I mean, we knew this was going to happen eventually, didn't know how it was going to happen. This seems like the perfect way, and Damian is, I think of everyone aside from Bruce, he's taken it the hardest, because he was there, he witnessed it. And so it's the perfect character to to do this. So I don't know. I want to see how they play it out for sure.
And a cool arc for, and then we do
Yeah.
have a big event going on with the crossover with Deathstroke Inc., Robin, and Batman coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel dumb that I didn't see this coming though because this book had so many flashbacks with Alfred, and being that they were on this island in the Lazarus pits, I never even thought of, oh man, he's gonna bring back some of this stuff and bring back Alfred. You know, I never even thought that crossed my mind. I would think that they would do that in like the Batman book because you know, go figure, it happened in the Batman book itself, right? So I was kind of shocked by that. But overall, when it comes to the Robin title, I've mostly enjoyed it a lot. So when I saw that cliffhanger, though, I was just like, hell yeah, man! I'm so on board with this. And I'm curious what else though he is going to do in Gotham itself.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I love this. I mean, we'll talk about Robin later, but I love this little group of friends he's created in this book. I mean, Damian's now got his own supporting cast, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Alfred going forward in the future, but I hope he does come back, even if he's a zombie for a little while.
Yeah, I'm curious to see again what that's gonna look like, and very excited for Robin again, and I'm glad that it's got a new vibe going on. But before we get into big books, Brant, you do have a Kickstarter going on.
Yeah, so this is our latest from Last Summer Press, and it is my wife's Kickstarter, Bloom Pretty. It is live right now. We've got 2 weeks to go, and I'll share the screen there. And we are rocking and rolling. We're 225% funded at this point, which is just astounding. Almost 800 backers. It's a mature fantasy story of romance, obsession, murder, and plant people. And it's at the core, it's a love story that ends with a murder. So it's got some intrigue. It's got some fun. It's got some cool stuff. We've unlocked 5 stretch goals now.
Nice.
It's blown us away, the support that we get. Let me scroll past that real quick. Sorry, I always forget that that's there. There's some of the interior art on it, and this is the start of an epic fantasy story that Lisa's been wanting to tell for a long time. There's a Princess Bride homage cover. There's some beautiful covers, Marguerite Salvage cover there. And it's an all-female creative team as well. So go check it out at bloomprettycomic.com. We are live until March 16th. And just excited to see how this is growing. Thanks for everybody that has checked out. Yeah.
We have an interesting question from Tevia. He said, any opinion on Damian Wayne and Flatline being a couple versus John and Jay? Like, what's the difference? Like, I don't even understand the question. He's like
who's the better couple?
Yeah, like one's straight and one's not. Like,
Flatline and Damian are not a couple. It's basically it was a kiss. They shared a moment with each other, and they went their separate ways. They enjoyed each other's company.
Still, though, I'll say the build-up to Damian and Flatline has been better than the build-up to Jay and John.
Oh, 100%. I think they built up their relationship a bit more. But like Mike said, they're not even a couple. They had a kiss, and that's kind of it. But like,
it was his first kiss.
Yeah, that was the story. It wasn't like, oh my god, now we're boyfriend and girlfriend. It was just like, that was his first kiss. Cool, you know? Like,
yeah, and then she was immediately like, yeah, I'm leaving now. See ya.
Like, I'm out. See ya.
Other than that, like, they're both like, again, that's not even a couple in the Jay and John stuff. We don't know much about the couple. They've really just started. So it's so interesting when people are like, you know, that one issue that you saw, let's actually like analyze it as it's like 50 issues. It's like the run isn't over. So let's we'll analyze it when it is.
Love this. Right. They're very close friends that have killed each other once or twice. Very good trust building exercise.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is all the comments. And again, go check out Brant and Lisa's Kickstarter. I believe the link is in the description. Correct, Brant?
Yeah. bloomprettycomic.com will take you right there. Or you can just search for Bloom Pretty on Kickstarter.
Cool. All right, we're gonna go into those big books now.
That's right, guys. So just to let you guys know, there are spoilers in this review process here that we go through. So for whatever reason, if you didn't have your books, be prepared to be spoiled, because we're already in New Comic Book Day starting in 45 minutes. So
DC already has their books out. So
yeah. So thank you to all the viewers out there that are watching the show tonight. Much appreciated. And of course, if you want to support the show, please give this show a thumbs up. It's, again, much appreciated. Helps the other people out there know that this show exists. So, all right, let's get started here. Let's talk about the first book. And we're kicking it off with the indie book that's pretty big, and that was Supermassive issue 1. This is Image's superhero universe crossing over with the characters from Radiant and Black. And I thought this was a great introduction to Rogue's Son and also Infernal
Girl,
Red Girl. Yes.
Which is interesting about that book is I don't think it's going to be released by Image. I mean, maybe it will later, but it's a Kickstarter book, and the graphic novel hasn't been sent out to Kickstarter backers yet. So
yeah,
I think that's really interesting.
In the back of the book, they had a list of all the books that were coming out. And that was listed, but it was like late 2022. So
it is going to be exactly. Image. Okay. So
yeah.
That makes sense. So they're going to do the Kickstarter first and then do that. Okay. Oh, and then obviously in the end, we had another character show up. That's either going to be like, is it going to be someone with their own story? Is it going to be somebody who's just in Radiant Black? So Deadly Luck.
Yeah.
But this book was really good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I love all the action in this book. The artwork was great. You get a 4-page freaking poster in this book, which was so good. It had a little bit of, a superhero feel that you're familiar with, right? It felt like a little bit of Marvel, a little bit of DC. Of course, it felt like its own independent book. It felt like Power Rangers. Rogue's Son, I felt like, was like the Batman character of the bunch, and I felt like Marshall was obviously kind of like the Spider-Man or Peter Parker-esque character, because he was kind of comical in this book, which I thought was kind of cool. And then you got the Inferno Red Girl, or whatever frick her name is. I always forget. She was great, and she's the alternate universe character, right? So it's like we already got our alternate universe character, and they go on a mission together, and it was a lot of fun, and you get a little bit of a backstory of each character. Not too much. It was like just enough, just a tease, and by the time you wind up getting done with this, you really wanted more, and you wanted to see what these characters had to offer.
Yeah, I love that they established that Rogue's Son has just been doing this superhero thing for a while. Yeah, and Marshall's a big fan. I just love that. Is like so an aside thing that we haven't seen referenced in Radiant Black, but it's just cool that exists. And I think the personalities like meshed really well here. Their road trip together was just fun, and you had Marshall asking all kinds of questions, and Rogue's Son being like, I don't care to answer anything, dude. Just do your thing, man. Leave me alone. It was as far as like introducing us to a crossover with brand new characters. One character obviously that we've been following, and then 2 brand new characters. And I felt like, I don't know, by the end of this book, I felt like I knew these characters well enough to be totally invested in this entire universe, and that's really hard to do. Yeah, and I think they did an excellent job.
I felt the opposite. I felt like I'd rather have had this out after I got to see Rogue's Son and Inferno Girl, and I would have appreciated it more. I feel like too much was thrown at us, and I'm whoa, stop. I don't know you. And I wish I knew the characters before this happened. I thought it was released too soon.
See, I didn't think it was overwhelming at all, because
I didn't either.
We already knew Marshall. Right. And so the only other 2 characters you had was Rogue's Son and the other girl. And so I've read many other comics before with 7, 8, 9, 10 characters that are thrown at you, and they're like, I'm this person, and I'm that person, and this person, and that person, and blah, 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 blah. And here I am.
I don't like comics like that.
I don't either, but this was only a couple characters, and I could follow that. We run into comics all the time that has many characters, like, 2 or 3 characters in it. This was no different for me.
Yeah,
I feel like it was also introducing worlds too. It wasn't just the characters. It was like introducing their world and their different tones. And I feel like that's what kind of got me too. Where I'm like, oh, okay. Kind of wish I knew that beforehand.
Yeah, but I think it was a cool way to introduce them, to get you kind of interested in, oh, now I want to learn more about these characters.
Right.
And so when their books come out,
marketing wise, it's smart. Yeah, marketing wise is very smart, because like obviously this was probably one of the bigger books that came out this week, which is really cool that Image has built a superhero world where this is probably bigger than Aquaman today, right?
Yeah,
like Aquaman also came out, and I would say this was a bigger book that came out.
I agree. Yeah,
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. Absolutely.
The hype behind this book alone was just like, no pun intended, but massive, or super massive.
See, like the heart and the effort that went into this book.
Oh, like, yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm not saying that other writers don't write or try, but this felt, for me, it felt like something special,
Yeah. And you could definitely see like the love for Power Rangers even continues here, where Marshall manifests that giant, like, a kaiju type thing that you would see in a Power Rangers book. And it's just, that's kind of cool. I feel like when you can take a known franchise like that and do something completely different with it that still feels like it's inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's one of the things I love about Radiant Black. But I fell in love with these 2 characters just for many different reasons. Like, Rogue Sun just annoyed me, his aloofness and, kind of his disdain for everybody. But at the same time, he's very Batman-like in that way. And Infernal Girl Red endeared me too, because it's like she's kind of like that. I don't know. Everything's new to her because her universe apparently is completely different. So you got 3 very different perspectives in this, and I thought they gelled really well, and it hooked me. So
yeah. All right, that's pretty cool. So there's our thoughts on Supermassive issue 1. Now we're going to talk about Carnage Forever issue 1. So supposedly after this book, it leads into the ongoing series. I know, Branton, I read this one. So what did you think? It was like 2 completely different stories here. It was like Carnage taking over this little girl, which I thought was actually the better of the 2 stories.
Mm-hmm.
It was like creepy, horrific feel. And then you get the story where he takes over Hydro Man's powers. Like, I didn't even understand that. Like, what is it? What was that?
Yeah. So like the first story, I was kind of like reading that. I was kind of excited for it because it gave it more of a horror vibe. And I thought that's the direction they're going. Like, okay, now he's possessed this girl. What are they going to do with that? That's interesting. It's completely different. And so I was kind of hyped for that. But then the second story is the one that's actually leading into the series. And then it's like, okay, this makes no sense. How is he walking around without a host? And how is he stealing Hydro Man's powers? And where is this going? I didn't understand that, and it didn't get me excited for the series.
Right. I mean, I'm going to try the series, obviously, but I just was like, man, I wish it followed the little girl, because I would love to see this little girl run around all creepy ass. And, you know, it's kind of like, it would be weird, but it's kind of like how Dylan is. He's just like this younger boy. And so you would have a Carnage that's a younger girl.
Exactly. That would have been perfect. I totally wish they would follow that storyline instead of that backup one.
Right. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. How long we'll continue to read this series as it comes out.
Right.
All right. So let's kick it off now with our top 5 here, and we're gonna start off with number 5. And let's see. We got a question though before we get into that. I got. Let's see. We got Jeff, who says, anyone seeing a trend in comic covers from the big 2 being a bit oversexed with females on the covers? The art for covers today are revolutionary compared to what I saw in the 80s and 90s. But damn, dude, that's been that way forever, though. I mean,
the simple answer is sex sells.
Sex definitely sells. I don't think it's been more than we have gotten. and most of the time they're variant covers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it depends on how you do it. I think a lot of times it's just homages to the 80s and 90s, and that's why they're doing it. I don't know. It's a complicated question.
It's also like, you'll see a trend of certain artists doing a bunch of covers for a period of time, and if it's like an Art Germ or J. Scott Campbell or something, they're known for their drawings of women, and that's what you're going to get.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't noticed like a imbalance, like a more than usual. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's always been a lot of the female covers. It's always been that way. And I feel like homages are the two most popular covers that I see. And people, again, like Brant said, it's a trendy artist. So like Art Germ's very trendy, right? And then
Art Germ's also not sexualized.
No, he's very
sexy,
classy,
but not sexualized.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful art. It's absolutely gorgeous.
And J. Scott Campbell came from the 90s,
Campbell
and that's
has
what you're used to.
Yeah, he has a more cartoony feel, like an exaggerated feel of the women on there. And but then you got to look like an artist that was really hot for the past couple of years is Peach Momoko. She has a very distinctive feel, and that's not an over-sexualized or homage cover. That's something that's completely in her style.
Or like Jem Bartel, who like does very like female gaze for women than it is like male gaze. So like there's just different types of sexualization on covers, which is cool because in the 80s and 90s there was only one type and only one type of person doing these covers.
Right.
True.
I mean, and then I like Jenny Frizen, who always does gorgeous covers. Like she always does a lot of like Something is Killing the Children or Catwoman. Anyone that with the way she draws a character's eyes is absolutely gorgeous. It's so mesmerizing. And that in itself is just artistically beautiful, So I love that. What the hell is spamming up here?
Yeah, I just saw that. We also had another question from Tevia who says, question, do you believe Marvel and DC Comics needs new villains? I think that they've had more new villains now than ever before. I mean, we just talked about the Hulk. We had Punchline. We had all the other stuff. So, yeah, I don't think they need new villains. I think they're doing it already.
Yeah, sorry, taking away that stuff.
Yeah,
go for it.
Yeah. Okay. What did you say, Kat? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that the new villains we've been having more than ever. We had Punchline. We had Ghost. Whatever his face is, Ghost
Maker.
Yeah. I was gonna say Ghost Rider. We had Ghost Maker. We have and we were just talking about the new Hulk villain. We have so many new villains. I don't think we have a problem with getting new villains.
Right. All right. So let's continue. Let's see. We're going to talk about
number
5, right?
Yes.
So let me dig out my number 5 here because I think I have a few of them together. So I had like 7 books that all could have been my number 5. I mean, all in my top 5.
All just number 5.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, but I went with my number 5 was Robin issue 11, and we already talked about that. Because it was good, and it didn't get really good until like the end,
I really like that issue.
Me too.
Everything about it, and like I agree with the very start of it. Going back to the stuff between Race and his mom and stuff. It's like, okay, let's get past that. But I thought that they quickly did, and they moved on to the whole friends, let's go, hunt down Dusk and all that stuff. And just that whole thing of him having this friend group and going on this mission together was just cool to me. And, Talia seeing, her son change before her eyes and dealing with that whole thing. And then the stuff with Flatline and Robin, I thought was, really adorable. Thing? Yeah, the Respawn thing too, unmasking for Rose and them going off on their own. So we're still left kind of, befuddled on it. Who is he? Is he a clone? Is he related?
Clone.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking
Slade
too.
Wilson clone.
You think it's a clone?
Yeah, a Slade Wilson clone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought it was a really good issue. And of course, we already talked about the cliffhanger. So
We do also have a comment from new type JB Lee. Miss Marvel, I want to see Mike and Gabe again. They're Kamala's friends too, and it's sad we haven't seen them yet in the mini. Also, Amir should appear too. Yeah, I mean, love to see the full cast, but it's cool that we're actually getting the supporting characters interact at all. So I take as much as I can get.
They probably just don't want to throw too much in there.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. And thank you so much for that super chat once again.
Thank you.
I'm very appreciative of that. And I can see why people think of Robin and Flatline as a couple. She did take his heart after all. Oh my God.
That's very true.
These comments are hilarious when it comes to those two, man. It's awesome. All right. So that was my number 5. So Kat, what was yours?
Mine was book no one read for sure. It was Rockstar and Soft Boy issue 1. It's a Cena Grace book, and I've just seen him working on it, and I was like, oh, cool. Like he's just been pumped about it. I want to support him. So, and it was just a really fun book. It was just a slice of life about these two friends, and it's just based on him and his friend throwing a party and just seeing like they're very different dynamic. One's very energetic, wants to throw a party every day, and another person is a little bit more sheltered, and just seeing how they're friends. And it's a gay, geeky book, and it's just fun. I don't know if I would want to read past a one shot in that regard. I do think it'd be interesting if they do more. I think that'd be interesting, but I like that it was just a one shot too. I like that as a beginning, middle, and end, because sometimes slice of lifes, they're a little harder to sell in the direct market. So I think it's cool that it's just like, here's just this one-off about these two guys. Like, again, I think it'd be cool if they do like a sequel one shot or whatever, but I still think it was it's nice just to go one thing from an indie, because you don't get that very often. You get that a lot from Marvel and DC. You don't get one shots often from Image.
All right, pretty cool. What about you, Brant? What was your number 5?
I had the same problem as you. I had like several books that could have been my number 5. I think I'm gonna go with Strange Academy.
Oh God, see, I could understand that though. Like,
yeah,
I mean, seriously, I think I had 3. Maybe it was 3. I think Strange Academy, Saga's not in my top 5. It could have been, and then Black Widow is another one that could have been in my top 5, and it wasn't either.
Yeah.
So. Strange Academy was really cool.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that happened in it, but it was just cute and fun. They were going to a dance, and you had the whole thing with Dormammu's kid, and being nervous to ask her out. Yeah, and then when she jokes that she's already been asked, and he's all sad and everything, and then she ends up standing him up anyway because she's trying to help another friend that gets expelled. Yeah, and that whole thing. So there's repercussions for I can't remember his Calvin. Is that his name?
Calvin. Yeah.
Repercussions for him. Getting the magic from the street dude.
Yeah. Gas lamp.
Yeah, gas lamp and getting kicked out of the school and all that. But I thought it was fun. It was the whole lead up of a couple of kids telling him how to ask the girl out and all that stuff, and just some character stuff in this issue more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I don't know what's going to happen to Calvin, man. I think that kid's going to turn out and come back to get them somehow, or he's going to join Gaslamp's crew. And then what I took out of this too was like, this could be the beginning of the end of Emily and what's his face's
I can't
Doyle's
think of his
relationship.
Name. Doyle,
because when they took that field trip when they time jumped, he saw Emily and himself being enemies. So is this the start of something like that, right?
Exactly, because of his insecurities.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. That's the impression I got too.
So I was like, oh, that's a pretty good, lead up into that. And then I think do we get another issue and then it ends till August? I think it is. Probably.
Yeah, this was, what was this, issue 16? I mean, yeah, that's probably about right.
It's probably, we're probably right around there. But yeah, really, really good issue. So, all right, so let's move on now to Saga issue 56. So, Kat, you and I read Saga. So, what did you think about this one?
I like this issue, but I thought the last issue was stronger. I thought it
Me
was a little
too.
bit more well-rounded. But I think there's interesting tidbits. Like there's some like Hazel talking about, I guess there's foreshadowing that she's gonna love rock and roll, or like the guitar, and then
Yeah.
the ending is a big cliffhanger with who they get in cahoots with. But I feel like the build up to that was a little slower than I expected.
Yeah, I agree to that. It was a setup. This was the setup issue. The last issue was kind of like the catch-up issue. This was the setup issue on the story of what's to come, because really at the end of the day, she has no choice but to do this mission for this pirate dude. And because obviously he's going to do something very bad to the kids. But if she does do this, she can get rewarded very handsomely, right? So she's kind of in a, lose-lose situation almost. So she's like kind of forced to do it. But I think the story at hand is going to be really good in the future. This was just the whole setup, but it doesn't mean that the story was bad in any way.
The art was great. There's still some good tidbits, but that first issue just like blew everything out of the water. And this was just like a fine comic issue.
Right, exactly. Totally agree. All right. So next is a book that you guys read, and I am curious on what you thought of Aquaman issue 1.
What do you think, Brant?
I thought it was a fine issue. It was fun.
Fine. Fine
Yeah,
is
it was fine. I had fun with it, right? So like, I don't know. I didn't finish Aquaman Becoming. I fell behind on it, so I didn't. I don't know how that ended with everything that was going on in that book, but I don't know. It was kind of. I was
like it. He's lost words.
No, I was just a little bit lost on where Jackson ended up from that, because it seemed like this was a continuation from that storyline. And it was the stuff with Black Manta, and you find out by the end of this issue that Black Manta is working with Aquaman, which was a twist. And now you got this new villain coming up. So I don't know. I was a little confused by it, but I thought it was fun, and the art was nice.
The art was great. I like the cliffhanger. I'm also a little worried of like, where is this going?
Right.
I don't know how long I could keep up with it, because I'm like, oh, it was a good cliffhanger, but does this mean I'm going to stick up until issue 4? I don't know.
Do you feel that you would? Did you like it enough that you think you would stick with it?
I like it enough to read issue 2, and if issue 2 gives me nothing, then I will have to make a decision to drop it. But because I like Aquaman Becoming, I actually really liked it. But that was because it was a new voice. It was just Jackson, and we got to learn more about his family, and there was a bigger plot. This is just, there's not much yet.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, if you didn't read Becoming, you're kind of lost going into this, like,
or Black Manta too. They referenced that too.
Yeah, so they didn't really do a great job of catching you up on that stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I could see, like, in a big week, me forgetting about this book. So,
yes,
we'll see what happens with the Aquaman by issue 3, if anybody will be reading it.
I hope issue 2 blows us out of the water.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. All right. Let's move forward now, guys. We're going to talk about our number 4. My number 4 was Gunslinger Spawn, issue 5. No one else reads it, but I read it, and I had a good time with it, so forget about you people. Anyway, Gunslinger Spawn is great, man. All I can say is that if you were to read a Spawn book, this would be the one to read. Because I feel like the Spawn character, this version of him, he's misplaced in time. He wants to get back to his world. And the clown is the character that is trying to recruit him to work by his side so he can capture this throne. Gunslinger wants nothing to do with him. But then Clown sits there and says, you know what? I will promise you to send you back to your time. And Gunslinger's like, okay, now we can talk. So it looks like him and those two are going to be teaming up with each other. Great action in this book. The price is $3. You can't beat that. It's a high quality book. The way they keep the cost down is that they eliminate probably 4 pages because most comics range from 28 to 32 pages. This is a 24-page book. But even though you only get 24 pages, doesn't mean the words inside are less. There's a lot of words inside. So that's why a book is $2.99. But great book, and Brett Booth's artwork is some of the best artwork I have ever seen him do in an actual story before. And even in the art in the book, they pay an homage to Amazing Spider-Man issue 316, I think it is, where I think Venom is on top of Spider-Man. I'll show that page real quick because I think Brant might know. So here, Brant, this is like the beginning of the book, and this shows you the artwork on there. Can you see that?
Okay.
It's, my mic is in the way.
Yeah.
See, so that pays tribute
That's cool.
to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a really good looking book. I mean, this is some of the best artwork that I've seen him do. The detail that goes into this, the paneling, the layout. This book is gorgeous, man. It's just a visual masterpiece. So definitely a strong book for me.
Sweet.
All right. And so, Brand, I'll go to you. What's your number 4?
Amazing Spider-Man, number 90.
Did you like last issue? That was
I
number
did.
1 last week.
I know.
Yeah,
I
that's
did.
right. Where he picked. What did
It was
you
my
pick
number
for?
2. I forget what I picked. I don't.
Oh, it was
remember.
like there was a number 1 that was like, whoa, and you didn't pick Spider-Man?
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't write it down. I just kind of like spitballed it to you guys when I couldn't make the
I
show.
remember that. I was like, how did
Yeah.
you pick this? It was an issue that I don't think we liked, Kat.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember
I
what
don't
it was.
what it was. I do not remember. And we're
Yeah.
like, how did you pick that over Spider-Man?
Oh, it's like on the tip of my tongue. I can't quite. It's got to come to me. Oh my God, it's bugging the crap out of me right now.
It was Nightwing. It was Nightwing.
Nightwing. Okay.
Yeah.
No, was it Nightwing? I thought it was something else. It was
No,
I just
it
looked
wasn't
back.
Nightwing.
It was Nightwing. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was
Got-
great. This issue was okay, but
Yeah. Last issue was definitely better than this issue because last issue was more Pete and this was a little bit more Pete and Ben. But the stuff between Pete and Queen Goblin I thought was a lot of fun in this issue.
I like the ending too. They're gonna team up.
Yeah, and calling each other brothers, and like when she does the Goblin's gaze and he's down and he sees Ben's face and kind of telling him, you pick yourself back up, and him, coming up from the ocean floor and or not, I don't know if it was the ocean or not, but wherever it was. But yeah, I thought that was it was solid, And like I said, not as good as last issue, but I love the banter between him and Queen Goblin, and rhymes with Green Goblin, that whole thing.
Yeah,
So
it was funny, and then it was kind of like the writers knew there was already a Goblin Queen, and they were just like, yeah, there's already a Goblin Queen, and you're the Queen Goblin, and blah blah blah. So they were completely poking fun at that, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And then of course you got Mark Bagley that did the artwork in that again. It was a good issue. I thought it was just a little bit unbelievable that he would come that far back in the depths of the ocean when he was still recovering from his injuries. And he even makes it a thing saying that I'm only about 50%. I'm like, dude, what would you be like at 100% if you rose from the ocean floor and freaking jumped how far in the air to knock the Queen Goblin off of her freaking glider or whatever it is?
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
So,
should have had Black Cat rescue him or something.
That would have been cool. That would have been awesome. But still, it was a good issue. And it was kind of weird because you got to see like Ben, his memory is really screwed up because he didn't know who he was looking at until Peter reminded of who he was.
Yeah, his memories are all screwed up.
Yeah, it's a bunch of holes in there. So interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Kat, right? You gotta go for your number 4.
Yes. So mine is Saga issue 56.
All right, pretty cool. All right, so next we're going to continue going on, and we're going to talk about, Detective Comics. I read all my books except this. I left this on my nightstand. I left it on my nightstand thinking that I read everything, and then I got my pile together. I'm like, where's Detective Comics? And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't read it. So I totally did not read Detective Comics yet. The one book I did not read. I had plenty of time to read it, and I just totally thought I read it, and I didn't.
So Brant, did it blow your mind?
No. Honestly, I don't remember what happened in it. That's the problem with this whole arc. I keep forgetting what happens in the issue when I read it. I remember the backup story because of the kid and what happens with him. And I think like Tim Drake tried to save him or something. One of the Robins tried to save him, and he but in the main story, I'm trying to remember what happened. Like, I think they figured out it was Psycho Pirate behind the whole thing.
Yes.
I don't want to spoil it too much.
But I think they knew because, the last issue that I read, Nightwing comes face to face with Psycho Pirate.
Yeah, so this issue is more of the same, like, he's losing his hold kind of thing, and them trying to figure that whole thing out. And I think the Party Crashers crashed an event or something, and then, man, I don't remember, honestly. It's this whole arc is forgettable to me. It's like, it's sad. I don't know why I'm still reading it, honestly. So I'm sorry, Mike. I'm ruined. I'm stepping all over this one.
That's why this was that way. Mike has someone to talk to about.
Yeah, this was one of the first books I read. I do remember.
So it was hard for you to. It's hard for you to remember.
Yeah, I read it like on Thursday or something. So
gotcha.
With COVID.
Yeah, with COVID.
Yeah. So he had COVID brain.
It's all foggy.
Spider-Man question: when was the last time Spider-Man run or / arc made everyone happy? Some like the marriage, others don't. Some
no
like
one's
slot,
ever happy.
Don't. No one will ever be happy with Spider-Man unless you go back to the 1960s when the freaking character was created again.
We also have another question. BDG's Comics. How long have you guys been live? It's near the end. We still probably have another, 20 minutes or so. We still got some comics to talk about.
Yeah, been live for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We got about our top 3 comics, and then our most anticipated. So probably about 15, 20 minutes. All right. So let's talk about our number 3 now. So number 3, Kat, I'll start with you.
Mine was Miss Marvel. This is just a fun issue. I'm definitely liking this run more than the last one. It's just Miss Marvel interacting with this new character, kind of taking over her life, literally looking like her. And that's pretty much the beats. It's like, how does this person take over her life? And is she a good person? Is she bad? And in the end, she might not be exactly on Miss Marvel's side. So, is it mind-blowing Miss Marvel? No, but it's nice to go back to basics, get to see the friends. I love the artist who's done Runaways in the past, so it's just fun Miss Marvel for me.
Yeah, it was fun. It was better than that last series for sure. That last one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's back to basics. It's
not
a
Wilson, though.
Right, and it's not a complicated plot. Like, from the beginning, there's something up with this girl, and it's like, okay, when's the shoe going to drop? And by the end of the issue, the shoe drops, and it was fine. It was fun, and it was one of those books that was like competing for my number 5. So it didn't quite make my top 5, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just I think because Ms. Marvel was so complicated last arc, and they tried doing so much and erasing so much, it was just nice to have a fun comic that didn't need to be too much.
Right, exactly.
All right. So, Brant, what was yours? What was your number 3?
Dark Ages, number 5.
Dark Ages, number 5.
Yeah. So this was an interesting issue. I think the fun came in when they met Deadpool as their tour guide through Europe, which was kind of funny. Led to some funny interactions there. But I love seeing Gabby and Laura, and that whole little thing about Gabby not having the nanites to protect her from the pain anymore. I thought, cool. Yeah, and then coming into contact with the double symbiote, the Venom Carnage, and finding out who that is wearing that was kind of cool. And that's really it, right? It was like they were mourning Nick Fury, and then going off on this next level of their plan, Apocalypse. Trying to awaken this Unmaker dude, and harness the power of a star. And so, yeah, some fun stuff. Some good storytelling.
I don't think this is as strong as other Tom Taylor books, though. That's kind of where
No.
I land. Like, it's fun.
I agree.
The ending's fine, but I'm like, man, I always forget what happens in every issue. It's not something that sticks with me.
I felt the earlier issues of this was better.
Yeah,
100%. Issue
I
1
agree.
and 2 in
You're right.
particular.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
Ocean issue was like I said it then. I was like, and then it's like in this issue, we're kind of like, oh, they lost the character, but now they gained a character. And I love the idea of the Carnage Venom symbiote together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so quickly wrapped up that it took away that kick-ass factor of it. I was like, man, I would love to see more of this. And this was literally a couple pages of the book. They defeated it like it was nothing. And then it's Miles, and then he's on their side just like that. You know?
Yeah. I could have seen like that whole conflict with the Venom Carnage symbiote being the cliffhanger and leading into next issue, and like half the issue they're battling the thing. Yeah.
That would have been much better, I think. I felt like they tried to squeeze it in there, you know? Or they could have introduced it earlier in the issue. They spent so much time with Deadpool and him being a tour guide. I was just like, gee whiz, man, you know? I don't know. I like this issue. Don't get me wrong. It lacked. Like we had, like that first issue was so strong, and the second issue was really good. It had a lot of story. There seems to be some meat there, and now it's kind of just stalling or coasting along to get to the end. I think, you know.
I think it's because of the release. This was supposed to be a pre-COVID book. They stalled it. Maybe he didn't start writing it again until after COVID. And also now he's just completely working at DC. So I just feel like it just was bad timing for this series.
Maybe. I still liked elements of it though, so
I'll
stick by it.
I did too. Like there is definitely some solid elements. Like I love seeing Laura and Gabby again, and I love certain instances of that book. Me and you put that panel in, Brant, with Deadpool, you know, yapping in Peter's, you know, face about the twips and now it's the twaps. So I thought that was hilarious. So there is elements, and it's not a bad book, but I have read better from him.
Yeah, when you're reading, like somebody in the comments, when you're reading Dark Knights, it's still at the same time. It's night and day. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. So my number 3 is a book that we did talk about. That was Supermassive. So really good book. Highly recommended for people that may have not picked it up yet. All right. So let's move on now to, I think, let's see. We talked about Robin. We talked about Dark Ages. So we're going to talk about our number 2 book. We'll just jump into that one. So my number 2 was Amazing Spider-Man issue 90. Brant, what was your number 2?
Mine was Robin.
Okay. Mine was also Robin.
All right. Very cool. So then we'll jump into it, and I'm surprised this book is still on like big book topic list. Captain Marvel issue 36. I've stopped reading this at this point just because of all the things that you guys say about it, and it just does not intrigue me anymore.
I definitely think I'm on my last legs with this book. It's just because it's Kelly Thompson. I don't want to let go of it because I know there's been really good arcs of this book, and there's been very lackluster arcs for me. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is just the lackluster arc, but I think we've been in a lackluster arc for months now. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to obviously see this arc through and give one more issue a chance for the next arc. And if I'm not feeling that, I think I'm going to drop it. I feel like it's kind of said everything it needed to say.
I don't know that I'll get the next issue. I'm kind of torn. It's going to depend on the week, but I was left cold with this one. And I have for the past few issues, you know, and I keep waiting for it to get better, and it did not for me. And not that it's bad. It's just, I don't know. It's just not capturing what it used to for me. So
this also could have been great. There's characters like Miss Marvel and the return of Captain Marvel in some form, and they don't do anything with it.
Right. Yeah.
When we talk about a Kelly Thompson book that was I felt better maybe was
Black
Black
Widow.
Widow,
I think it was definitely better. I still don't love this arc, but I think it was better, and the cliffhanger was definitely interesting for Black Widow.
I like the Living Blade character. I think he's pretty badass. I think he's definitely a formidable foe. It's cool to see Natasha scared. It's you don't actually see her scared very often. And that cliffhanger, did he slice off her arm?
It sure looked like it. So I was like, whoa, that's that's gonna be huge going into the next, if that is in fact what happened.
Yeah, because the way it looked, it definitely seemed that way. And I was like, oh shit, what are they gonna do here? With that. So and it's cool because in the next issue on the cover, it's an actual gorgeous Adam Hughes cover, and it shows that portion of her arm not in the cover.
Right, like it's out of frame. Yeah,
it's out of frame, like it would be chopped off. So very clever.
She have a robot arm. We'll see.
Yeah. Now we're gonna have Winter Soldier and Natasha with robotic arms in there.
Yeah.
We do have a super chat. Oh, we're gonna say Brian.
No, go ahead with the super chat. That's fine.
New type JB Lee says, last Miss Marvel question. Would you like to see Josh, and should he be a villain again? Because I don't buy this redemption arc that was in the last run. I always love to see Josh. I think he's an interesting villain. I'd like to see him as an anti-hero, but not in this arc. It's not going to happen. I think this is only like 2 more issues left. It's just a mini-series.
See, I don't care for Josh, so I don't miss him. I'm fine without him, personally.
All right. So that was a little extra bonus talk there. So now it's time to go on to our number ones, right? So my number one might be surprising to you guys, but I loved Silver Surfer Rebirth issue 2.
Oh nice. Man. Really? Okay.
Yes. You didn't like it, Brant. Did you not understand
I'm
it
done.
again?
No, I understood it. I'm just done.
Okay.
I understand that. I don't want to pick up anymore.
Right. Exactly.
That's funny. I love this book, man. I think it's just 90s fun. That's what it is. It's Silver Surfer and Thanos, coming up with a team up with each other and explaining about, someone has the reality gem, and in order to get it, someone stole it from them and they have to go on this mission to get it back. And he explained the whole Infinity Watch and who takes care of the gems and whatnot. And then at the end of it, we don't know who the person is that has the reality gem, but we know the person that stole it, and it was the Jack of Hearts. So I love this book, dude. I just don't think it's an overly complex plot. Has to deal with the Infinity Stones or gems, whatever the hell you want to call them. I'll call them gems because this takes place in the 90s. Yeah. And I liked it. I had a really good time with it.
I'm curious, why Jack of Hearts all of a sudden is all over the place.
I said the same thing, though. I said the exact same thing. I'm like, the dude's blowing up, bro, because he's everywhere right now. He's in Fantastic Four. He's in She-Hulk. And now
he's in the movies. Maybe in next Ant-Man. Because that's who killed Scott Lang in the comics.
Right.
So maybe he's going to be in the new Ant-Man movie.
It's possible. So I'm just wondering, and like, does this version of Jack of Hearts tie into the one that's in She-Hulk? Tie into the one that's in I don't know what's going on. So but it was at least interesting in that way. I don't love it, so it's not going to keep my interest. And I knew that from the first issue, but I gave it one more shot after you explained what happened there. So yeah. You'll keep telling me about it, though.
I'll tell you, and I'll keep telling you it's good, and then you'll be like, no, it's okay. Thanks. All right, so what was your number one, Brett?
Supermassive. Yeah, I really enjoyed that book.
All right, so mine is Refrigerator Full of Heads, issue 4. I am a big slasher fan, and this is just like a silver screen slasher coming to life, and just a perfect sequel. You have just the amount of June, you have just the right amount of the newer character. You kind of get a final girl moment in this issue. We learn more about the lore, but it's not too explainy. Really fun action for the issues. I just had a blast with it. Pick up any of the full ahead stuff. I think it's been great if you're a horror fan. It's funny because the past couple of weeks I feel like at least one of us have had the same number one. So this time around, all three of us had a different number one.
COVID changed everything.
COVID changed everything for sure.
Kat, you and me were like on the same page for like 3 weeks in a row. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll see for next week if that changes or not. But yeah me and Bran especially, we were. Well, but then you got COVID, and last week we were not on the same page.
I know. Based on our most anticipated, we'll see, because we got some similarities there. So
that is true. More than some.
Yeah.
Serenity says Silver Surfer so blah to me. It hasn't been good since Mike Allred. I can't even go there with that one.
Oh,
I liked Mike Allred's run as well.
I'm not going to talk about Mike Allred.
Yeah, that artwork, that story, just that's not for me. That's not Silver Surfer. That's just me though. I liked also.
It definitely was not Silver Surfer, but I liked that it wasn't Silver Surfer. I
like eyeliner Silver Surfer.
I don't know if I'm the minority there, but I did like Silver Surfer Black. I thought it was something different, kind of tied into the Null situation. But I've been waiting for a style like this with Silver Surfer for a while. You know, it's just, I don't know. I liked it. It was freaking cool. I even like how they bring back that old cornerback box, man. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's
definitely a throwback.
Logo. It's definitely a throwback book. So good stuff for me. But that's what's so great about this hobby is there's all these different tastes. We all look at these books in a different way, and you can't get mad at somebody because they like the specific book. That's just absolutely ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes we all have a different number one, and sometimes we don't.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so passing it on to Brant now, we're going to move on to the most anticipated.
Yeah, so like I said, we got some similarities between Kat and I, and a little overlap with Mike as well. So we'll see. We're not a whole lot of books to talk about here, so we'll start with Mike this time.
All right, so number 3, Amazing Spider-Man issue 91. Got to kind of ride that train a little bit. There's Spider-Man supposed to be Ben Reilly going into this secret door, and there's something going on there. So
did you read Miles this week?
No.
Okay, so that's kind of so it tied heavily into the Beyond thing, and Miles was in the Assessor's compound or whatever, and there's like all these doors to these other dimensions, and he sees his Uncle Aaron in one, so he goes through the door. And I think that's where this picks up. Like Ben goes to that same place.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll see where that goes then. I know next week's issue, though, is going to be lower on my list because it doesn't seem like it has to do with all that. But anyway, we'll see where this one goes. And then based off of that cliffhanger, it just looks like Ben and Peter are going to team up, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. Next, of course, is She-Hulk issue 2. We're finally getting the second issue. It seems like it's been a little while. Jack of Hearts, the man is back, right? Making his appearance once again. What's going on with him? Obviously, we're going to find out where he came from, you know, why he's in Jennifer Walters' apartment. And then we have Dark Knights of Steel, issue 5. Continues that wonderful story being told from Tom Taylor. And this is going to continue the main story now as we got a little bit of a backstory in the last issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that last issue surprised the hell out of me. I keep saying, like, there's so few comics that could do exposition well. And that's like such a good example of how to do exposition. So whatever comes next is going to be interesting.
And just to mention, for anybody that hasn't been reading Dark Knights of Steel, this week is also the release of that. I think it's called Gathering the Storm, that collects the first 3 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, all right. So, Kat.
So for me this week, number 3 is She-Hulk issue 2. We talked about it. I want to see what this whole Jack of Hearts ending's about. Really liked issue 1. Dark Knights of Steel is my number 2, so we talked about it. And number 1 for me, I'm a big Ryan Parrott fan. Rogue Sun issue 1. I want to see it from the beginning. I want to see his own superhero story. I love his Power Rangers. I've enjoyed a lot of his indie books as well. So this seems like, you know, this is going to be a very big moment for his career. So yeah, I'm very curious about this book.
Nice.
You know, the funny thing is about this Jack of Hearts character, I had no idea who the fuck he was until that She-Hulk issue. Like, I was like,
Wow.
who is Jack of Hearts? Like, I don't even know who he is. And it all started with that. I told you about that comic book that I found in the comic book shop that had Jack of Hearts in there. It seems like this guy is like trolling me or whatever it is. It's just like he's everywhere now, you know? So I don't know. But
See, if it wasn't for the
That's
Scott
funny.
Lang death, I don't think I would know who he was either.
Yeah, because I wasn't reading Avengers at the time until Disassembled happened, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where I saw Jack of Hearts for the first time when he exploded and killed Scott Lang. So, yeah, that's funny. So just to make my list slightly different than Cat's, I'm gonna go with crossover for my number 3.
So which one
just-
would have been it though? If it wasn't for me, would it have been She-Hulk or would it have been crossover?
It probably would have been She-Hulk. Just
See, so we know truly what it is.
yeah, I was
Truly,
torn
it's
between
my
the two.
same list.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same exact list. But I'll say crossover just because it's different and it's a book we haven't talked about yet. So the last couple issues have been really interesting, and now we've found out who the killer is, and we're going into this one, and seems like we're on the end game of this this arc or whatever, this story.
I hope they're not trolling us. I want it to be the end of the series because I think I want to end it on a high. So, and not saying like in a bad way, I want it to be over, but I'm like, it feels like it's building towards something. And if it really just has another arc, I think I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, you don't want to carry a story like this out too far. I agree completely. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, then Dark Knights is still and Rogue Sun, and so there you go. But that's our listen to.
It's not like there's not a lot of books coming out. It just shows like over the years how our tastes has all kind of become similar throughout the years. That we talk comics.
Yeah. Like I looked through all the books. I'm like, yeah, these are the ones that I'm most excited about. So
next week is going to be an interesting week because there's a lot of new number ones getting ready to come out. It's a big week next week.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun.
All right. And so before we sign off real quick, I just wanted to say, and I told these guys I think found out yesterday, is that I actually have merch for Comic Book Corner 2.0, which is actually really exciling.
Looks
I finally
really
got
cool
around
too.
To
it looks like
together.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually have a link here if you guys want to check out the store, and if you want to help support the channel, that would be great. I have hoodies. I have a hat. It's actually a bucket hat. It's not like a regular hat, which is kind of hilarious. What else does it have on there? I'm trying to think. I got a water bottle, a tote bag. Stuff like that, regular t-shirt, and there'll be more stuff to come. This is kind of just the first line, and it's good stuff. And like I said, if you want to help support the channel, get some of that merch. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the shirt, the main picture on there is my mysterious black bag logo that I have, so I put it on there, so which is really cool. So I'm excited about that, and go check it out, guys. So, anything else you guys want to say real quick before we close out the show?
I'm good.
I'll just remind everybody, check out bloomprettycomic.com. 2 more weeks to go.
Awesome. Fantastic. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching tonight's show. Hopefully you enjoyed the comic talk, the news. And again, guys, we will do it all again next week. And again, there's a lot of comics to talk about, so it'll be some great discussions. So, of course, guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to both Comic Book Weekly and Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you want to watch all the episodes of Comic Book Weekly, just go onto the Comic Book Weekly YouTube channel, and you can go on for hours and hours and hours and just watch episode after episode. And I don't know if you'll be alive by the time you get done with it, but they're there for your enjoyment, guys. And, of course, if you want to check out our social media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, of course, YouTube. And if you don't want to miss any of the notifications for when our show is coming on, guys, hit the bell, because that is very super duper extremely important. So, of course, guys, thank you so much. Have a great night. We'll see you real soon. Happy New Comic Book Day.